Every Pokemon game has an evil team. You know the drill: beat the grunts, fight the boss, save the world, move on. But have you ever stopped and actually looked at what these teams were, what they believed, what they were actually trying to do? Because when you do, it hits completely different. Every evil team in Pokemon explained. Let's start at the beginning. Team Rocket, Generation 1, Kanto, 1996. No grand ideology, no world-ending philosophy. Team Rocket wants one thing: money. They steal Pokemon, sell them, run underground gambling dens, and answer to a man named Giovanni, who sits in a leather chair stroking a Persian like he's auditioning for a Bond film. On the surface, they're the simplest evil team in the franchise, but simple doesn't mean shallow. Team Rocket is a crime syndicate built like a corporation, grunts at the bottom, executives in the middle, one man at the top making all the decisions. No one questions it. No one defects because they disagree with the mission. They're there for the paycheck. Giovanni isn't trying to save the world. He isn't trying to destroy it. He just wants to own as much of it as possible. And that makes him the most grounded villain in the entire franchise. Because unlike every evil team that comes after him, Giovanni isn't wrong about how the world works. He just decided to be the worst version of it. Team Rocket is Pokemon saying, the oldest evil in the world isn't ideology, it's greed. Generation 2? It's still Team Rocket, but this time the Giovanni is gone. So instead of a powerful crime empire, you're fighting the broken pieces left behind, the grunts, the executives, all desperately trying to bring their boss back. They take over radio towers and exploit Pokemon for money and keep sending one message into the world: Giovanni, come back! But he never does. And that's what makes Gen 2 Team Rocket so tragic. They already lost. They just refuse to accept it. Generation 3, Hoenn. And everything changes. For the first time in Pokemon history, there are two evil teams, and they hate each other. Team Magma wants to expand the landmass by awakening Groudon. More land, more space for humanity and Pokemon to grow and thrive. Team Aqua wants to expand the ocean by awakening Kyogre. More water, more habitat for Pokemon, a return to a pure, more natural world. Both teams have a reason. Both teams have a mission. Both teams genuinely believe they are the heroes of the story, and both teams are completely, catastrophically wrong. That's what makes them different from Team Rocket. Rocket knew what they were. Magma and Aqua don't. They are true believers. And true believers are always more dangerous than someone who just wants money. Because you can negotiate with greed. You cannot negotiate with someone who is absolutely certain they are right. Team Magma and Team Aqua are Pokemon's first lesson in extremism. It doesn't matter which side you're on. If you push hard enough, in any one direction, you end up in the same place. Total destruction. And then came Cyrus, Generation 4, Sinnoh. And Pokemon got dark in a way it had never been before. Team Galactic looks like a sci-fi cult at first glance. Matching uniforms, strange bowl cuts, a headquarters full of people who gave up their names. Unsettling, but you've seen unsettling before. Then you meet Cyrus, and everything shifts. Cyrus doesn't want money. He doesn't want land or sea. He doesn't even want power, in any traditional sense. He wants to destroy the universe and rebuild it from scratch, without spirit, without emotion, without the things that make people hurt each other. Because in Cyrus's view, emotion is the cause of all conflict, all suffering, all loss. If you remove it, you remove the problem. And here's the thing, he's not entirely wrong. That's what makes him the most disturbing villain in the entire franchise. He has a philosophy, a coherent, structured, internally logical philosophy, and it leads him to stand at the edge of existence and try to delete everything that makes life worth living. At the Spear Pillar, he tells you his new world would have no strife, no uncertainty, no weakness. He says it without anger, without drama, just cold, flat certainty. Cyrus isn't a villain who wants to hurt people. He's a villain who looked at human beings and decided they were the problem. That's not a comic book evil. That's something quieter and much more frightening. Cyrus is the only Pokemon villain who genuinely unsettled adults, because he wasn't raging, he wasn't cackling. He was just empty. Generation 5, Unova, and Pokemon did something it had never dared to do before. It questioned itself. Team Plasma's mission is a Pokemon liberation. Free every Pokemon from their trainers. Release them. Let them live, as they were meant to. And for the first time in the franchise, the villain has a point, because the face of Team Plasma isn't a crime boss or a nihilist, it's N, a young man who grew up isolated, raised only around Pokemon who had been abandoned and abused, and saw a system built on capturing wild creatures and forcing them to fight. N isn't performing. He genuinely believes this. He is one of the most sincere characters in the entire franchise, and he's being used, because behind N stands Ghetsis, the real architect of Plasma. And Ghetsis doesn't believe a word of the liberation ideology. He created it. He shaped N from childhood, raised him in isolation, controlled every experience he ever had, specifically to produce a true believer. He could aim at the world like a weapon. Getsus wants power, and he uses ends genuine compassion and genuine pain to build a movement of people who believe they are doing something righteous. Team Plasma is the most sophisticated villain structure in the entire franchise, because it shows you two things at the same time. 1. Real compassion can be exploited. 2. The cruelest thing you can do to someone is take something true and use it as a lie. Team Flare. Generation 6, Kalos. 2013, and Pokémon dressed its darkest idea in its most beautiful clothes. On the surface, Team Flare is almost glamorous. Designer uniforms, stylish grunts, a headquarters that looks like a high-end nightclub. They have membership effies. They are literally a club for people who think they are better than everyone else. And their leader, Lysandra, is handsome, charismatic, philosophical, and deeply kind in his public life. He runs charitable programs. He talks about a more beautiful world. He also wants to use an ancient superweapon to kill most of humanity, not as a metaphor, not as a last resort, as a plan. Lysandra looks at a world of finite resources, a growing population, and concludes that the only solution is to reduce the number of people in it, starting with everyone who isn't already part of his vision of beauty. He calls it making the world beautiful again. Pokemon X and Y are often called the lightest, easiest entries in the franchise, and the villain at their center is advocating for something that has a real historical name, that most players were too young to recognize. That gap between the cheerful pastel world and what Lysandra is actually proposing is the point. The most dangerous ideas don't arrive in darkness. They arrive looking exactly like Lysandra, elegant, certain, convinced they are saving something. And then Pokemon exhaled. Generation 7, Alola, and the franchise did something it had never done before with an evil team. It made you like them. Team Skull is loud, chaotic, and ridiculous. They strike poses. They rap. They block bridges for absolutely no strategic reason. They are the least threatening evil team in the history of the franchise, and they know it. But here's what Team Skull actually is. They are kids who failed. Specifically, had kids who failed Alola's island trials and had nowhere to go afterward, no path forward, no family that stepped up, just a group of other kids who had also been let down finding each other. And Guzma built that. Guzma, who was failed by his own mentor, who was told he would never be a great trainer, who took all of that rejection and built a family for everyone else who had been rejected the same way. Team Skull isn't evil. They're lost. And there's a difference. Every other evil team in Pokemon is something to be defeated. Team Skull is something to be understood. Guzma is the most human villain in the entire franchise, and the game's answer to him isn't a final battle. It's someone finally treating him like he's worth something. Team Skull is Pokemon saying, sometimes people aren't broken. They're just waiting for someone to show up. Generation 8, Galar. And Pokemon pulled off a trick. Team Yell is everywhere in Sword and Shield. Loud, disruptive, obnoxious. Classic evil team energy. You spend the whole game assuming they're the threat. They're not. Team Yell are just extremely devoted fans of a trainer named Marnie. That's it. Annoying? Yes. Evil? Not really. The actual villain is Chairman Rose. A billionaire, a beloved public figure, the man who built the entire Galar League, and is universally respected and trusted. Rose isn't cruel. He doesn't enjoy causing harm. He genuinely believes he is protecting Galar's future by solving an energy crisis 1,000 years before it happens. He is so certain he is right that he is willing to unleash an ancient cosmic threat on the present to prevent a problem that doesn't exist yet. He does it all from a tower with a smile. While throwing a banquet, Team Yell and Rosa together are Pokemon making one argument. 25 years, 8 generations, dozens of grunts, bosses, legendary Pokemon, and world-ending plans. And underneath all of it, one thing that never changed. You were a kid sitting on the floor with a Game Boy, a DS, a Switch. You thought you were just beating the bad guys. You had no idea. They were trying to teach you something, and maybe they still are. Like the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed your stay. See you on the next one.